Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. When your life is organized, everything is better. And I'm not just talking about your schedule. I'm also talking about your living space, your workspace. We're going to get you organized. Going room by room by room with her, learning about her technique, her concepts, and just so many different tips and tricks that we've gotten from her. We're going to get more today. She is the woman behind a wonderful boutique professional organizing company, and she is back with us. Richele Caragianis is on the program. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am good. Your company is Blossomwood Organizing, correct?
Correct. Well done.
And last time we got together, we were cleaning out the garage, so to speak, using your ideas based on your principles of organization. 4-step program, right?
4-step program. We start with the purge. Some people call it weeding. Some people call it decluttering. The second step is when we categorize what we're keeping. So we have disposed of, we have donated, and we have what we're going to keep. It needs to go into categories. After categories, we have to choose containers. This is what's going to hold all of these precious valuables that you're keeping. And then finally, installation. Get it loaded up, get it put on the shelf or in the cabinet or in the attic, garage, basements, those more substantial storage spaces. And then wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You've got a more orderly environment.
So from the garage, we go to the attic, and sometimes the attic is located in the garage. Where do we start with that?
Well, the attic, as I said before, the attic is kind of a kissing cousin to the garage, as a kissing cousin to the basement. They kind of all three function in similar ways. They have similar positives to them. They also have similar downfalls. Siri was recording us. Oh, no. So with that, I was going to jump to the attic. And the attic's big downfall, like the garage, is it's an out of sight, out of mind space. Now, unless you've finished it and you're using it as a bedroom or a playroom or an office, it's not really usable real estate for anything other than storage. But you still want that storage to be manageable. You want it to be orderly. You want it to be organized. Because the last thing you want to be is up in a hot, sweaty, dusty attic trying to find something, and you're going through the 10th box and it's still not found. That's the worst thing I could possibly think of.
Especially since many attics don't have a lot of space. You can't even stand up. So now you're like hunched over, trying to reach, grab a box, pulling it over another box. And it's Africa hot.
Right. Well, I was gonna say something about the shape of your attic. So how you use your attic is definitely going to be determined by, is it simply a crawl space that you can just like kind of blindly shove boxes into? Does it have a pull down stair accessibility, or does it have proper stairwell up to the attic room? Does it have space for your head so that you can stand up, or are you on all four knees when you're in that space? Like, all of those questions need to be answered before you start putting things up in the attic. If you expect to be able to get to them later when you want them, they have to. So let's say you have this really spacious attic. I'm going to come back to things like seasonals and sentimentals as prime place for the attic. These are things that either you're only going to want once a year, but you still want to know exactly where they are. You want them put in an order, you want them stored in an orderly fashion. Sentimentals, you just want to know that they're safe. You just want to know that in 20 years, when you have grandchildren, they're exactly where you put them and they're in great shape. The attic is super for these kinds of things. Again, access, though, will determine that. One of the things about the attic is it's a really dusty space. Be prepared when you bring things out of the attic that they're going to need to be wiped down or washed off. That's just the nature of the attic. Now, it's not as, well, no, it is more sight unseen than the garage. This is what makes the garage slightly better, because if you are using your garage, let's say for the car, then you are pulling in and out. Like you mentioned last week, that you enter your home through your garage every time you come and go. So you're seeing things as you come and go. The attic is truly an out of sight, out of mind potential death trap. You want to make sure that when you put things up in the attic in 6 months or in 2 years, when you go up there, that you can find what you're looking for.
And we can't take away the fact that many attics don't have a floor. So now you have beams. In between those beams, sheetrock from the ceiling below. Whoops.
Not to mention insulation.
Yes.
So yeah, that's another thing to think about. How close are those beams? Is the insulation exposed? Do you need to put some plywood down? These are some of the pitfalls of the attic that you want to make sure you address before you just start hefting boxes up over the foldable staircase that comes down, and that when suddenly it's Christmas and a year has flown by, you've got to actually get up there in that mess to find those boxes. Ew. We don't want to do that.
I'll share in 10 seconds. I had an attic, this 2-house back, attic, stairs in the garage, went up to the attic to get boogie boards on July 4th, was coming down, and I fell. I rode the stairs down, and then my foot impacted on the cement floor. It didn't break anything. Road rash, massive. It would have been a lot better if I was organized up there and wasn't looking, because now I'm crawling over stuff to get to the steps to get down. It's a death trap. It really is.
They really are. And, as an aside, the basement can be just as dangerous, because you're going down again as much as you're coming up. And quite often basement stairs are very narrow. They're not the same as regular staircases. They're cement quite often. Or they're rickety. You can hear every step going down. But the thing about the attic that I do like is similar to the garage is it's free real estate. If you're not using it as an additional room to the house that you're needing to utilize, it's free real estate. So if you can take the time to make sure you have safe flooring and install shelving, then it turns into miraculous, wonderful storage space, organized storage space for things that you don't need to get to very often. So you want to use that usable storage space to, your bottom level is heavy boxes you don't want falling down off of shelves, space to put shelving, and then even look up. And if you've got the head clearance to put some hooks, we see in those scary movies, the chairs that are mounted up on the wall and they look like they're suspended and floating. Well, that's what we're talking about. Things can be suspended from the ceiling of an attic. It's a great place to put things.
In terms of the organization, how do you set that up? And again, being mindful of, you might not be able to stand, you got to be crawling. How do you figure out what goes over here, what goes over there? How do you stack? And I don't mean stack this way, stack back that way when you need stuff. How do you all figure that out?
Well, I like to think safety first. So again, we want to make sure that if we're not lugging a box that's too heavy up rickety, folded steps is really what I should say, folding steps, getting it to the top, pushing it back, and then trying to put it on the top of some shelf that was installed, 20 years ago, because that box is going to come down and either the things in it are going to be shattered or you're going to get hurt. So weight on the floor. Put your weighted boxes on the floor. And then one way to categorize is by weight. So then the second level goes on the mid level of your shelving. And then things that are just lightweight paper can go on top. But do not underestimate paper. Paper can get heavy really fast. Files, old tax returns, old credit card receipts, and books. You can fill a box up really fast and it can become 100 pounds in a blink. No problem. And you don't want those things falling down on you.
Wow.
I think the folding steps, I keep coming back to them because they really are rickety and they're not quite safe. And it takes two people. That's the other thing.
Yep.
When you want to think about safety in the attic, if two people, one from the floor up to the person on the steps and the person on the steps hoists up into the attic, and then you both get up there and you organize together, that's a really smart idea when you're dealing with the attic.
Is there a formula like, okay, holiday goes over here, this goes over there? I've always thought of it, utilize the space that you have. Like, for example, if you've got an attic like this, and then you've got space over here, but limited ceiling space, I've kind of like leaned over and I put stuff along the rafters. Let's say it's a big holiday wreath, one of those 3-foot wreaths. Doesn't weigh a lot, and you can place it like that over the rafters, the beams, and you're good to go. Is it kind of like look at your situation and work that way?
Sure. I mean, this is where personality can play a role. This is where people's relationship to their stuff comes in. People's relationship to the holidays comes in. Do you have children? Do you not have children? If you're big decorators, then your decorations need to be closest to the entrance to the attic. You don't want to be going all the way to the back recesses of the attic to be pulling Halloween out through the attic, down the stairs, then to wherever you're going to be decorating. You want those, that's a proximity, that's a space question. And maybe that's how you organize. Like, if I need access to these items multiple times throughout the years, then I want them closest to the access point. If this is something that Aunt Helen gave me, and I'm keeping because I love Aunt Helen, it can go in the back dark recesses of your attic. And that might be how you categorize. Step 2, how often?
What about making sure it's safe because again, it's can get up to like 120 degrees plus in an attic. I guess you have to be mindful of that. Her heirloom, is it going to withstand the heat?
Right.
Right?
Well, environment is really important in all of those extra storage spaces, whether you're talking about the attic, the garage, or the basement. They have different challenges, each of them. But the attic, I live in Alabama, so heat is a constant variable when we're thinking about, and flooding, and hurricanes, and tornadoes. Like, I'm constantly thinking about these things before I put something in the basement and before I put something up in the attic. Proper ventilation in your attic is really, really important for the health of your home, also for the health of your stuff. Most people don't have that big, beautiful Hollywood attic that you go upstairs and you open it up and there's furniture in there, there's couches, there's antiques that just aren't being used. I mean, if we all had that kind of attic space, we'd air condition it, right?
Sure.
But we don't air condition it because we're not up there that much. But fans can be really beneficial. Having electrical accessibility in your attic for at least one light bulb is really important, or you're really not going to find anything. But after that, and I think this is probably the next most important thing, is labeling. And again, it's because of the pitfall of out of sight, out of mind. A year goes by, all the boxes, either they all look alike and that's confusing, or they look nothing alike and that's just as confusing. But take out your trusty Sharpie, if nothing else, and write on your containers what's in your containers. And that's the single biggest hint I can give anybody when it comes to these extended storage spaces, is label, label, label.
Yeah. Yeah. And put it on all sides if you can.
If you can. And I'm a Post-it note freak. So like as I'm doing the job, I'm using Post-it notes, and then because I might change my mind, I might take this bin and use it and go, oh, you know what? Now that I'm really getting stuff up here, this bin's better for X as opposed to Y. So that's why Post-it notes are great, because then once you've made all your final decisions and you're ready to turn that one bare light bulb off, you can go back and permanently write with your Sharpie on the box or the bin what's in it for once and for good. Love that Sharpie. Keep one with you everywhere you go.
The big thick one, by the way. I love those.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
That was kind of fun, just, making so it's big and you can see it. But again, like all sides if you can, because sometimes you're looking at it over here, looking at it over there. Any other thoughts on the attic?
Well, be organized with what you want before you even climb up into it. Because the last thing you want to do is get up there and suddenly be like, okay, wait, while I'm here, is there something else I want? Or while I'm here, is there something I wanted to bring up? Or while I'm here, boy, I really want to get rid of those dull banana boxes and I really want to get some actual bins. Like these are just some standard questions before you venture into the world of the hot, dusty room called the attic that have those questions answered. And then you'll accomplish 3 times what you were initially intending to go up there for. That's what I think.
Oh, for sure. Set the intention. Set the intention.
Set the intention.
Yeah.
And don't be rushed.
I also feel that if you set the intention, you're going to get what you need done, as opposed to being up there. You have limited time because it's hot typically. And you're looking around. It's like, I'm going up there to get the Christmas decorations. I need the outdoor decorations, the indoor, maybe in the garage, whatever it might be. Know before you go, essentially.
I love that. I'm going to write that down. Know before you go. And I would say this, do your best. This is why step 2, the categorizing, is so important. If you're going to commit to your attic holding your seasonal decorations, then commit to the attic holding the seasonal decorations, even the ones that go on the table, even the ones that go outside, the lights, if you have a tree that goes year after year after year, make that commitment to the category and put it in one spot. If you make the commitment to put it in the basement, then put it all in the basement. Spreading it out amongst additional storage spaces is going to slow you down.
Thank you for saying that. And I know it sounds a little rhetorical and intuitive, but people do it. And then where is it again? I think I just went through this because my daughter wanted to start putting her decorations in her room now. So I found the tree, but where are the decorations? Guess what? The tree was underneath the stairs in a pantry closet. I just have space going like this, and let me fill that up over there. Great. The decorations were in the garage. Why? I didn't listen to Richele.
Well, part of it is, and again, this because I said personality and your relationship to these different things and spaces and time. People will break down seasonal decorations like when they take their tree down, as opposed to when they take down the outside decorations or when they clear the table. These things might happen in stages. They might not happen all on one day. You might not put them all up on the same day. And so that's how it's very easy for things to wind up scattered in different parts of your on your property.
Yeah, but it's a bad idea. I get it. Life happens, but if you can set the intention that this year, when we're done with the holiday decorations, they're all going here, wherever here may be. I have to tell you, we're almost out of time. We have a little bit of time. I didn't think we'd fill this much time talking about the attic. I really didn't.
I'll tell you why I love talking about the attic is because I love ghost stories and haunted house stories and movies that are about haunted houses. And as they go through these spaces that have been abandoned for so long and are dark and dusty and dank, they just add to the whole environment and the whole world. And I just think it makes them fun to think about, like, well, what am I going to do with my scary attic? I don't know. Maybe I'll hang a chair upside down and then I'll punk somebody, because then the next time, my partner or one of my kids goes upstairs, everything's upside down.
I just don't want to fall down the stairs again. That's all.
I don't want that either.
I will tell you, I was on a quest in my last house. Side note, this is ridiculous. Wait till you hear it. My pull downstairs for the attic was in the master bedroom.
No. So you're dragging dust into your master every time you go up and down. Oh, I'm so sorry.
There was debris everywhere. Just normal debris. Then, like you might have decorations and there's a little, pine cone that comes falling down and everything. Yeah. But I was on a quest. I got to deal with that. I'm getting everything up there. I had a box for, and this was, you couldn't even stand up in this attic, okay? I had a box for a 12-foot Christmas tree up there, and I would get it down those steps. I don't know how I did it. There were bungee cords. It was like, definitely two-person job. But I've set the intention. It's going up there. There were all the holiday decorations, not in the garage. It's going up, and I got it done. Plus, there was other stuff, other seasons. And then, you know what? Side note, I just thought of, I would put the seasons in different spots.
Yes. And that's, of course, you don't want everything mixed mashed up there.
Yeah.
You might have one side of the attic is all the decorations, but then make sure your decorations are separated out into their unique,
seasons.
Counterparts. But I have to tell you, this is my farewell. I was doing a move out. A gentleman had passed away. He'd been a bachelor. He'd lived in the same house for 30 years. And I did an estate sale for them. The house is empty. The last truck is pulled off. And the real estate agent comes in and she's walking through the house and she looks at me and she goes, "Have you pulled the steps down from the attic?"
Oh
my. And it was this little crawl space. And it's where he kept all of his photos in spite of the heat. And they'd all done well. They were fine.
Wow.
But I handed over 1,000 photos to his family. And I almost walked clear of that house with a crawl space attic completely packed.
Wow.
It's possible. It's possible. Who knows what could be up there?
Just when you think you're done. You're not. Richele, I know that you're in the Huntsville, Alabama geographic area, and certainly you're available there. But virtually, things can be done too. If this resonates with somebody, they want help with technology, you can work on this with them as well, right?
Yeah, I can sit and have a one-to-one. I can get pictures. We can have a conversation about your goals, and I can just give you a bullet point. Go 1, 2, 3, 4 down this, and be available for any questions. That's a really easy virtual for everybody.
Fantastic. What's the best way to find you?
Well, I'm Richele, Richele at blossomwoodorganizing.com, and my number is 504-432-2271.
Awesome. Great talking with you. Love the tips, Richele, and I'll see you in another room next time we get together.
Next time we do it, I'll see you then.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things, like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. my family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.